Alright, so we talked about some basic theory and we didn't talk much more than that. In a scale, you've got 7 notes. In our dulcimer scale, we got D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And we can build a chord off of each one of these notes. You can build a chord off of D. So you got O, and then a 2, and then a 4. 3 staggered notes in the scale. We can build a chord off of G. 3, and then a 5. Skip any kind of 6, 7. Remember, we're not going to use the 6 right now. And then A is going to be 4, 6 and a half, 8. 3 staggered ingredients in the scale, starting with the letter name of the chord. And since we're so often in the key of D, you're going to need these 3 chords. The chord's built off of the first note of the scale, the 4th note of the scale, and the 5th note of the scale. So in the key of D, that means a D chord, skip D, G chord, and A chord, D, G, and A. Now the theory of all that, learning that is kind of another class. That's not something we're doing here at Everett. But I do want you to memorize the chord tones for D, G, and A that we use most often in tunes. And just memorize this. Memorize this. Don't wonder about it so much yet. For D, I want you to memorize O, 2, 4, 7. And more specifically, O, 2, 4, 7, 9 with an O in the middle. So when the guitar is playing a D chord, I want you to make up stuff using mostly, heavily, these notes. O, 2, 4, 7, 9, 11, in any order, busy, simple, whatever, also an open middle. For G, you're going to do O, 3, 5, 7, 10. O, 3, 5, 7, 10 with a 1 on the middle. Hopefully you wrote this down, but you can always rewind this. O, 3, 7, 5, 3, 10, 7, 5 with a 1 on the middle. And then for A, this has an extra note in it. For A, we're not just going to do the A, C sharp, and the E. We're going to add a G to it. I don't know why, but it's the way it works. So for A, we're going to have 1, 3, 4, 6 and a half, 8, 10, 11. 1, 3, 4, 6 and a half, 8, 10, 11 with an O, 2 on the middle. So back this up if you need to, write those down. You're going to make up melodies that make heavy use of the chord tones for whatever the current chord of the song is. So here's D. And then when I go to G, I'm now using the G numbers. When I go to A, I'm using the A notes. Back to D. And then finally, you're not going to want to only use chord tones to match the current chord. You're going to want to use other notes. It's just that you're going to rely on these the most. So listen to this. D. I'm not going to just do O, 2, 4. I'm going to use the ones around them. And then when I go to a G, it's not just O, 3, 5. It's the ones around it. For A, it's not just 1, 3, 4, 6 and a half. We're going to use the other ones. And then D. To wrap this up, this stuff's important because whether you're making up a neat ending, an intro, a cool riff, you're going to want to follow the notes that go best with the chords that are happening. When you're making stuff up, you want to have an idea of what chord goes with the melody you're making up. Memorize this stuff. It'll help you with reading hands, coming up with cool ideas.